to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Can we have roll call, please?
Supervisor McGlasson?
Here.
Councilwoman Campbell? Present. Councilman Toupori?
Here.
Councilman Ruthven?
Here.
Councilman Boyd?
Here.
All present.
Thank you. Our first item on the agenda is to start the discussion with short-term rentals in Kent. I'm going to invite our building inspector, Bill Walters, up to start the discussion with us. This is becoming more and more popular. Not for you.
Depends on your point of view on popular. Good evening, Bill Walters, Building Inspector, Town of Kent. We've had some issues with short-term rentals, Airbnb, Velcro, whatever you want to call them, Vimo, for quite some time now. That section of the code has been taken out, boarding houses and stuff was taken out in 1985. So short-term rentals haven't been allowed for quite some time. But now in popularity, a lot of people are doing Airbnbs. And we've been getting a lot of complaints, mostly from the neighbors of where these Airbnbs are. And when we get those complaints, we address them. Mr. Looney has been going out and looking on the web pages and trying to get the other Airbnbs to comply with the current code, which means they're not allowed. There's been a lot of input trying to see about changing that regulation. I can't change it. Mr. Looney can't change it. The only ones that can change it are the town board. And they would need input from the town whether they still want to do Airbnbs or short-term rentals or boarding houses or items of that nature. So that's, thank you very much for bringing it up and trying to address this concern. I know we brought it to you for a while. So it's, thank you again.
I've included in the backup, we have the legislation that they passed in Pauling, just for something for us to start to look at and to
Right.
go off of.
Yeah, a couple of the other neighboring towns, I have not had a chance to look at what Pauling's policy are. I know a friend of mine has one up north. He sent me his procedures for that particular town to take a look at. But there are some towns that are beginning to allow them with financing and stuff like that, so special use permits. So I believe if we're going to go down that road, then Airbnbs should be inspected annually, like any other apartment, like a motel or hotel. They need to be inspected. I have a couple of things that should be looked at. There should be some type of registration with a special use permit, renewable fees. There should be some type of contact information from the owner dealing with his telephone and email. Again, fire inspections should be done annually on the building to ensure that smoke detectors and carbon monoxide detectors, storage and mechanical rooms and electrical systems are up to par where they're supposed to be. Occupancy loads should be posted on the building of how many people are supposed to be there, so we're not overcrowding the building, and whatever the legal bedroom count is as per the building department and Board of Health. So we're not overtaxing septic systems in and around the lake. Those are just a few things I think that we should address if you decide to go down that path. Who's going to do the special use permit? That's going to create will create more work within the building department. How that's going to be financed, again, that's going to be up to the town board through fees and to pay for people to go out and do that extra work. But we should at least have a conversation about it. Anything else I can?
Well, just give me some historical reference. Why was the boarding house removed from the code in 1985?
I may be old, but not that old. I don't remember. I wasn't here.
I mean, my thought process was they didn't want short-term rentals, so they
I
eliminated it
believe,
completely.
after talking to Mr. Bob Rogers, they were getting a lot of complaints back at that time. I mean, I mean, when you look at some of the laws, the zoning regulations back in the 60s, you know, there were certain things that were allowed, how many bedrooms, and you weren't allowed certain months that it was allowed. So, I mean, for them to do away with it in 1985, I got to believe that they must have had a lot of complaints dealing with it, you know.
So if we,
I mean, we, like I said, we get our complaints now.
I know, and
You
that's
know.
kind of what's leading up to my next question. Kind of why I asked the history first, was that if we were to issue a permit, if somebody came in and wanted to do an Airbnb next to Kathy's house, and Kathy stood up here and said, there's no way that that's gonna go next to my house, what's the recourse for the neighbors who don't want to have that? I mean, it is a commercial enterprise going in a residential area.
Correct. Yeah, and the problems that we've seen that have come from them, I mean, I've handled a couple Airbnb complaints. You know, they would rent the building out, and the folks would come in at 11 o'clock at night and move the garbage cans in front of the other property owners, you know, and block their driveway. We've had incidents where they've had large parties out in the Airbnbs out on South Lake, and they've had drug problems out there, and the police were involved and a bunch of other things. We've got people walking across neighbors' properties because I rented the house, it's mine, I can do whatever I want. And I want to go see those horses over there, so I walk across the neighbors, go see the horses. That property doesn't belong to them, you know, and the neighbors complain constantly about people walking across their property. Those are some of the issues that I've run into in the short term that I've been here.
I mean, I guess just discussing this with the rest of the board, I see the benefit of having it be permitted where you're going through a registration and a process, but I also would feel bad for what you're talking about. And
Correct.
even if we go through the permit process, there's no way to prevent those type of things of
People do foolish things, there's no two ways about it. It's job security for the police department, fire departments.
But how do you prevent, like if we said we will not allow short-term rentals, how do you prevent that?
You don't want my comments on record about that.
I know.
It would be a violation, so we would be issuing
Right.
violations for using it as a short-term.
I would say if you're getting too many violations, your special use permit would be suspended.
Well, isn't
No.
the question using
No,
it
if we-
without a permit as a short-term
If we
rental?
don't do short-term
Or if
rentals.
we say no
If we
short-term
say no
rentals?
short-term rentals in Kent.
If you don't have a special use permit or, you know, they're not allowed, I mean, currently what we're doing is we're issuing a violation to them and they're going to court.
but they're still popping up all over the place.
Oh, yeah, I mean, yeah. I'm not going to say
Having
they're
a
not.
permit system in place is a way to at least have somebody to be accountable, because lots of times with people that don't use it as their primary residence, they don't know what's going on, and at least we have somebody that's accountable if things are happening there that shouldn't.
Yeah, I mean, there's an Airbnb being advertised here on Lakeshore Drive. And they advertise the beaches, the parks, you know, everything open, and that's what the taxpayers,
You've never looked them up?
No.
Oh, yeah.
Me and a computer, give me a
Oh,
break.
no, sorry. I'll print out the pictures for you.
you know, so there's that aspect also.
Yeah, there's a lot to take in for this.
I just wanted us to start
Yeah.
the discussion today.
Right.
We've been talking about it for a while, and I
Yep,
thought it
we've been
was time
talking
to
about it for a
start.
while, and now there are some towns nearby that are addressing it. I think we need to talk to them, read their documentation, see how they're handling it.
We've actually done a survey at our firm, because we wrote the short-term rental legislation for the town of Pauling, so we have a lot of research that we can share with you on this.
I mean, the plus side is I know a lot of people, friends of ours, that go away on vacation and they stay at Airbnbs.
Right.
And they like that type of vacationing, but they aren't the ones causing the problems. Well, I shouldn't, maybe they are. You know, but that's the way they like to vacation. So there's a plus side to it, and there's probably a revenue generating side to it through the permit process and everything. But there's also a large cost for inspections and complaints and everything else
Right.
that would have to be covered by the
Yeah,
fees.
I've
for it.
never stayed at one, so I can't tell you what the benefits are. I can only tell you what the problems are, because that's what we get the phone calls on Monday morning, because they had a loud crowd over the weekend that decided to go out kayaking out in South Lake. And then when they came back, there was an ambulances there, and there were drug issues and everything else. So those issues do pop up. I'm sure it's not all of them, but it does raise its ugly little head.
Chief, do you have any comments on any complaints or calls that you've gotten from any of them?
The ones that he's speaking about,
I mean, what's the frequency of this?
we don't get that many police calls.
Yeah, well, we kind of clamped on that guy, so he's, kind of coming around, but
Yeah, most of them are neighbor complaints, and they complain after the fact. We have had a couple that we had to respond, like the one in South Lake. I think we had to go there twice to that house. So it's a matter of some bad actors creating most of the problems. Most of the people that I think if you did do a permit would be responsible, and probably if we had their names and could refer back to them, it might be a lot easier. Because sometimes it's like, who's in charge of this house? Kids rented it or whatever, like, not actual, like, not your friends who are going on vacation, but like,
You never
we're
know.
We
like,
don't
hey,
know.
we want to have
Who
a
knows?
party,
I think
So-
they went from Lake Carmel to South Lake on vacation.
So we have had a couple, but it's not like we're getting a lot of them.
So it's not,
I think it's
not
more
like
after
every.
the fact, the neighbors are like, hey, what is going on next door? Like, nothing crazy happened, but I'm getting strange cars here, or trespassers, like leaving garbage or moving the garbage cans kind of stuff.
Okay,
So,
thank you, guys.
can I comment first?
Sure. Is it your house?
Next door to me.
Is it? Really? Seriously?
Hi, everyone. My name's Stefan Befra. Yeah, that house that you're speaking about in South Lake with all the complaints is directly next door to me. And funny, the night that the cops were called several times, that wasn't even me. A buddy and myself were outside having a beer by my fireplace. And, I remember being a kid and drinking and hanging out. It's not a big issue all the time, but it's a compounding issue, And there are things that you're not going to call the police over every single time. All of our neighbors are really fed up with it. The house next to me is an Airbnb. The house at the end of the road is an Airbnb. The most northern dam of South Lake there, it's county property. They've put solar lights down the whole thing, and they advertise it as their private walking path. The smaller things are like they're littering on the road. I've got a small parcel of lakefront. I can't tell you how many times I've looked out my window and there's people out there having a beer and just sitting on my chairs. We have a really small single lane road with a lot of blind spots, and they speed down it. We all know not to speed down it because there's kids, because everybody's walking their dogs, and it's always the Airbnbers that are flying down. I use Airbnbs too, I get it. I wouldn't necessarily be opposed to having Airbnbs be allowed through a permitted system like this, but I would propose that if we were to do it, there should be a mechanism or a system in place for citizens to be able to file complaints about a specific short-term renter, and then over time have there be repercussions, like 3 strikes, you're out, your permit's revoked, if you try again, there's a fine. Because that guy was taken to court. I don't know what happened in court, but after he put his house on the market, he took it off. Within a few months, back to renting, and he's still renting.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
So that would be almost like a 3 strikes you're out system.
Yeah,
So that's a better option.
But if they have permits, then we have a way of.
Well, we pull their permit,
Right,
and then
exactly.
they're in real trouble if they do it without a permit.
And it could financially benefit the town as well.
When I had brought it up to Ann 2 years ago or whatever, I thought it was a good idea to have some kind of permit in place so that you knew who was renting them out. But the more you read up on it, Putnam Valley is having an issue. I guess in 2020, Sam Oliverio wrote a letter saying that somebody bought a 700-square-foot cottage for $1.5 million just to rent it out to Airbnbs. Now, some of the rules that I was reading said that you have to live there, you can't have more than 2 people. I think what you're going to have to weigh is the enforcement towards the money that you might make on it might not be worth it. I know in Lake Carmel, right by me, I can tell you the houses that are Airbnbs.
Really?
You can tell. Yeah, when the chicken was on my front patio, I figured they said it was the country. But, yeah, so, I think you really have to look at this and see how much issues are. But I don't know if the town is allowed to get in touch with, like, these Airbnb places and find out who's registered. No?
That's not what you usually see in the legislation.
Okay. No,
Just-
I didn't know if the town could look into asking them, how many do we have in our town? That they're
Oh, I thought you
renting
meant the
out.
guests using the
No,
properties.
no, well, no, having, like calling them and saying, we're a town, we're thinking of a legislation, we want to know how many houses are in your system.
But there's so many, right? I mean,
Systems, there's many,
Well,
multiple.
for town of Kent. I don't
Right,
know
but
how
there's a
they.
VRBO, there's Airbnb,
Yeah.
there's so
Right, but
many different.
I'm just saying, we're not rushing this, so,
No, no.
I mean, maybe it's worth it to be able to, I don't know, contact them and see, because there are so many more than there was just a couple years ago. So, thank you.
And so the idea would be just to limit how many places can rent out, in other words. So the point would be to limit how many people could do Airbnb or rent out a property.
That's another thing they said.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right.
It did say that you would limit, so maybe the town would only allow 100 throughout the whole
Correct.
town.
Yeah.
But I think you have to look at a lot of the lake communities, I mean, it was bad enough when we had houses that were being rent out to 9 people, and your septic and your wells are being affected, I think, and we have beach passes here, so I think you have to look at your zones of where maybe you would allow it.
At what point do we become a resort, right? They rent out so many houses, and not a
Kathy,
residency.
before you walk away, I got a Lake Carmel question for you. If there's an Airbnb in Lake Carmel, according to the regulations now, are they allowed to use the beaches and stuff?
Well,
as
that's
just a
what I'm saying,
short-term
I don't
rental?
think so.
I don't think
because
so either.
You can have a guest pass if I own the house, I give it to my renter, but it's like, what are they gonna do this, back and forth, back and forth? They don't know our rules and regulations, are they just showing up
Could
at
be
the
a
beaches?
different person every weekend,
Right,
having to get a guest pass.
right.
Because also renters usually come in with like, here's my electric bill with
Right.
your name on it as a proof.
Yeah.
If you're there for a weekend.
Right,
you're
but
not
who
gonna have
knows if
anything.
the owner, gets a guest pass and then just keeps,
But again, once it becomes an Airbnb, it's a commercial enterprise, and do commercial enterprises in Lake Carmel get any passes for the beaches or anything?
yeah, I'm a commercial business and I have a
But your
rent.
house,
No, my business is in the Lake Carmel Park District, and my tenant gets,
but your tenant's there.
Yes.
My point, that's a long-term rental,
yes.
not a,
But that's another thing I looked. The tenants, like the 30 days, like you worry about a month-to-month tenant, and they have the same rights as if they signed a lease, well, so do these people.
oh, they do,
Yes. So that's a little scary.
yes. Thank you.
Any more public comment? We're not voting on this tonight, this is just the first discussion. Any other board comment? No? All right, we will discuss this again at our next meeting. All right, our next item on the agenda is our soil and excavation law. Nancy, do you want to update on where we are on this? And I think we're at the end, but.
Yeah, there were some comments, and as Hogan, Rossi, and Lagori gave you some of our legal advice on those comments. And it's really up to the board whether you want to vote on it tonight or some other night, or...
Well, I did read your comment responses, and I appreciate the fact that you did some research and looked into them, and I'm comfortable moving forward if the board is at this point.
Is there any public comment?
Henry Boyd, the Chamber of Commerce, and we like our town kind of the way it is, and if you can vote on that, the sooner the better. I realize you have a bunch of suits that are talking about suing you and everything else over this, and I think you should make that public, why it's been kind of postponed, because every little word that you're doing could make a difference, I realize that. But the town of Kent will be behind you 100% if you get this going. Otherwise, it could be another year. Please vote on it as soon as you can.
Okay. Someone read the resolution? Do you have it?
Yeah.
You need to fix the name in the resolution. Soil removal and excavation.
Got it. I'd like to make a motion to pass resolution number, what is this? Adopting local law
It will be local law number 5.
5 of 2023, whereas a local law amending Chapter 63 entitled Soil Removal and Excavation when it was introduced as introductory local law number 5, the local law of the year 2023 before the Town Board of the Town of Kent on October 17th, 2023, and whereas the public hearing was opened on November 8th, 2023, and continued on November 15th, 2023, and December 5th, 2023, and the public was invited to attend and be heard on the matter, and whereas in accordance with Article 8 of the Environmental Conservation Law, the State Environmental Quality Review Act, and 6 NYCRR Part 617 of the implementing regulations, the action under consideration constitutes, I think it's supposed to be a type 1 action, and whereas by resolution dated June 20th, 2023, the Town Board of the Town of Kent declared itself lead agency and the only involved agency, and whereas the Town Board has reviewed the environmental assessment form as well as other supporting documentation for the local law, therefore be it resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Kent hereby finds that the proposed action will not result in any significant adverse environmental impact for the following reasons. Number 1, the proposed local law will not create a substantial adverse change in existing air quality, ground or surface water quality or quantity or noise levels. Number 2, the proposed local law will not create a substantial increase in the potential for erosion, flooding, leaching, or drainage problems. Number 3, the proposed local law will not create a substantial increase in traffic or the use of existing infrastructure. Number 4, the proposed local law will not create a removal or destruction of large quantities of vegetation or fauna, nor will there be any significant impacts on habitat areas. Number 5, the proposed local law will not create a significant impairment of the character or quality of important historical, archaeological, architectural, or aesthetic resources. Number 6, the proposed local law will not create a significant impairment of existing community or neighborhood character. Further be it resolved that the Town Board pursuant to 6 NYCRR Part 617.7 issues a negative secret determination. And be it further resolved that the local law number 5 of 2023 is hereby enacted by the Town Board of the Town of Kent as local law number 5 of 2023 of the Town of Kent. And be it further resolved that a true copy of the law is attached hereto and made part of. I make this motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
You want to do a roll call on that one?
Can we have roll call, please?
It says upon roll call.
They all say upon roll.
They do?
Yes?
They do.
Never read that
Councilwoman
far.
Campbell.
Aye.
Councilman Tempori.
Aye.
Councilman Ruthven.
Aye.
Councilman Boyd.
Aye.
Supervisor McGlasson.
Aye.
Motion carried.
Done. A long road.
Our next items are for the planning board. Our first one is they are asking us to go out for RFPs for an environmental consultant. So if we want to do it one at a time, if you want to do that one first, someone wants to read it, unless there's any comments on going out to bid.
I make a motion and adopt a resolution authorizing the town clerk to advertise a request for proposals for planning board environmental consultant. Whereas it is the policy of the town board of the town of Kent to periodically seek proposals for professional services, and whereas the town board believes it is the best interest of the town to advertise that it is seeking proposals for an environmental consultant for the town planning board. Now therefore be it resolved that the town board of the town of Kent hereby authorizes its town clerk, Yolanda D. Capelli, to advertise for requests for the proposals for an environmental consultant for the town planning board. I make that proposal.
Let's hold on 1 second on this.
A couple weeks ago, Vera had sent us the proposals, so I'm confused, were those last year's or this year's? I thought we already did this.
The-
It was engineer and.
Yeah, the environmental consultant
planner.
wasn't in it,
No.
it was missed.
Oh, Bruce Barber went under planner, didn't he? I think he was on there.
But they didn't, it wasn't for the environmental consultant, that wasn't,
I didn't know if it
that
was
wasn't what we
both.
originally went out for.
We went out for the planner and the engineer.
Okay, because that's why I was like, we did this already.
No, we
Okay,
missed- We missed the
You missed
environmental
one.
consultant,
okay.
not on purpose.
Okay,
I still make that resolution.
okay.
Second,
All in favor?
Aye.
Who made the second? I'm sorry.
I did.
Chris? Okay, thank you.
All right. Our next item is to accept a erosion and sediment control bond in the amount of $1,500 and $1,000 for a final inspection fee. It was sent to us from the planning board, and it was a unanimous decision.
Madam Supervisor, we're going to be, the resolution that you're about to read relates to that and the other matter to release the escrow, so I think you should make a motion to add an item to the agenda now, so we can discuss both of them.
Okay, I make a motion to add an item to the agenda.
second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Do you want to take this?
Okay. You know what?
I was asking Nancy, but you
Oh,
can take it if you
no, I
want.
thought you were looking at me, I'm sorry. Go ahead. Take
I'm
it,
always
Nancy.
looking at you, Chris, but this time I was looking at Nancy.
This is relating to the escrow that we've been holding regarding the Kent Materials site, which has been sold to the Carmel Central School District, which is about to be sold to a third party. There was litigation because the town didn't want to release the escrow that we've been holding. We felt at the time that the property was unstable. We've since had inspections done by our own consultants, and they are satisfied that the property is stabilized at this point. So the planning board has recommended to the town board that the town board release the escrow, and then this will also settle a pending litigation in Supreme Court.
That's exactly the way I was gonna say it, everybody. Thank you, Nancy.
You're welcome.
Good?
Is there any board comment?
No?
Public comment? Do you have the right?
This one. It's all here though, right? Everything she just said that we had to add into it is this part here, correct? So the reason we had to make a new motion was because what you
Yes,
made a
I'm just
motion
making-
on was part of this resolution.
Yep.
That's
Okay.
right.
Yes. All right. So I make a motion to pass a resolution accepting the erosion control surety bond and escrow for inspection fee and returning application and inspection fee. Whereas the planning board by resolution number 12 of the year 2023 dated November 30th, 2023 has recommended that the town board accept an erosion control bond in the amount of $1,500 and an escrow for the final inspection fee in the amount of $1,000 from the owner of the property located at 16 Saddle Ridge Court, identified as tax map number 12.3.16, and whereas the planning board by resolution number 18 of the year 2023, dated November 9th, 2023, has recommended that the town board release an erosion and sediment control bond in the amount of $17,885 and a performance bond for stormwater management facilities with an initial cash escrow deposit of $57,300 from Kent Materials LLC, the former owner of the property located at 1264 Route 52, identified as tax map number 12.1-44, and whereas the town board wishes to accept the recommendation as set forth in planning board resolution number 20 and number 18, now therefore be it resolved that the town board of the town of Kent hereby accepts the recommendation of the planning board and accepts the erosion control bond and escrow as further detailed above for tax map number 12.3-16, and be it further resolved, the town board of the town of Kent hereby accepts the recommendation of the planning board and authorizes the release of the erosion control bond and initial cash escrow for the performance bond as further detailed above for the tax map number 12.1-44. I make this motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. That's another long one off our plate.
This is. Okay, our next item is from our assessor. He is asking us to reappoint Christopher Badalato to the Board of Assessment Review for a 5-year term running from October 1st, 2023 through September 30th, 2028. Any comments? Does anyone want to read the resolution?
Sure, I make a motion to adopt the resolution appointing a member to the Board of Assessment Review. Whereas Christopher Bottolato's term as a member of the Town of Kent Board of Assessment Review, the board, expired on September 30th, 2023. And whereas the Town of Kent wishes to appoint Christopher Bottolato for an additional 5-year term on the board from October 1st, 2023 through September 30th, 2028. Now therefore be it resolved that Christopher Bottolato is hereby appointed to the Board of Assessment Review for a term of 5 years commencing on October 1st, 2023 and terminating on September 30th, 2028. I make that motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Next, we have municipal repairs. As everyone knows, our municipal repair supervisor has left, so I'm asking us to appoint a temporary crew chief to run the department until we decide what we're doing in the municipal repairs department. So our, yep.
It says crew chief 2 is the former foreman, so are you creating another foreman?
We're using that just as the title for right now so that he can run that department. That's not what the title's going to be for that position. That's what the union has agreed to.
They agreed to get another foreman spot.
Right, but so that, the gentleman that is taking that position temporarily right now will be running the whole department, doing everything Nick Mancuso did, the parts, ordering, everything as well.
Are you gonna go outside the union again? Because years ago.
We're looking to make it a union position again. So the problem with this position right now, in its current state, is that if there's a snowstorm and it's the middle of the night, it's not a Teamster position, so they work the regular hours of 7:30 to 3:30. So they're not there at those times. So it really needs to be a union position where they're there with their men that are working and overseeing everyone. So Chris and I have been in discussion with the union, and we're trying to.
And
come
Labor
to-
Council.
Yes, and our Labor Council to come to a common ground on this. And we're not there yet.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying, you're saying Nick never came in at night? Really? Because I was there, he did. So that's kind of surprising. Okay.
So I'm asking that tonight that we vote to put Matthew Kiernan, to approve him for crew chief 2, temporary for municipal repairs.
I think, Kathy, that's important to point out. This is a temporary fill-in to get somebody in that position going into the snow season. We just need to have somebody that we can say, you're in charge over there. We don't know the final outcome of what it's gonna be in the long run, but for right now, this is the solution that
And also to keep-
everybody's agreed upon.
Like you did for the garbage, like you put supervisor, crew chief. So I was just wondering why you were doing something that's equal to a foreman, that's all. Because you're creating another, you know.
The supervising crew chief was in there prior to me being on the board. That was,
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
But if you said you talked the regular terms.
He'll also be, because yes, it is for the snow season, but it's also, as Angela can say, can agree to, keeping all the paperwork moving along, because we're a little behind, and getting all the billing up to date.
we need somebody in there right now.
Yeah.
When you say temporary, do you have to put a date, or does that matter? Like, is it
I mean, we
6
can
months?
put a date.
I'm just saying, is it 6 months or for the season, for, you know?
I mean, I would say 3 months, but
Hopefully sooner than later. We want to straighten this out. But kind
we
of,
just need to buy ourselves a little bit of time with the discussion with the union. You know, nothing happens overnight. So, we just need a little bit of time, but we can't leave that position vacant while we're
I'm
negotiating.
just saying, I wouldn't want to also take the guy out, and, you know, he's getting everything ready to go, and you know, all of a sudden, fuck him out, so.
you want to read this one, Sean?
Sure. Make a motion for resolution appointing crew chief municipal repairs. Whereas there is a vacancy in the position of municipal repairs manager within the Town of Kent Municipal Repairs Department. And whereas Richard Offmer, the Town of Kent Highway Superintendent, has recommended the promotion of Matthew Kiernan to the position of crew chief level 2 to act as temporary manager until such time as a municipal repairs manager is hired. And whereas the town board wishes to accept Mr. Othmer's recommendations to act as crew chief level 2 and to act as a temporary manager for municipal repairs. Now therefore be resolved that Matthew Kiernan is hired, or hereby appointed to Matthew Kiernan to the position of crew chief level 2 to act as a temporary manager of municipal repairs. I make this motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Our next item is also for municipal repairs. We've had temporarily Christopher Carroll working as a temporary mechanics helper, and he's been getting rave reviews down there, and everyone's happy with his work. So tonight I'm asking us to promote him to a full-time mechanics helper.
Okay. Good.
Someone want to read it?
I make a motion to pass a resolution to promote temporary mechanic helper to full-time mechanic helper for the town highway department. Whereas the highway department, or the highway superintendent, Richard Othmer, wishes to promote Christopher Carroll from his current position as temporary mechanic helper to full-time mechanic helper. And whereas the town board wishes to accept the recommendation of the superintendent of highways and promote Mr. Carroll. Now therefore be it resolved, the town board of the town of Kent hereby authorizes the promotion of Mr. Carroll from temporary mechanic helper to full-time mechanic helper in the highway department. And be it further resolved, the town board of the town of Kent hereby authorizes the supervisor to execute any and all documents necessary to give effect to this resolution. I make this motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Our next item is highway. So I have to apologize, in our backup, I just have that we're going out to advertise for fuel. That was what was given to me originally, but we are going to go out to advertise for all services and materials for 2024, not just fuel. Anything you'd like to add to that?
I'm sorry, I swore.
I know, I'm right on your item.
We're good.
We're
Richie.
good.
We
We're
don't-
gonna go out to bid for everything for you. Okay.
I make a motion to adopt a resolution authorizing the town clerk to advertise for 2024 annual bids for highway services and materials in the town of Kent. Whereas the town of Kent Highway Superintendent wishes to advertise for annual bids for services and materials regularly used by the Highway Department, and whereas the town board of the town of Kent wishes to authorize its town clerk, Yolanda D. Capelli, to advertise for bids for highway services and materials, now therefore be it resolved that the town board of the town of Kent hereby authorizes its town clerk, Yolanda D. Capelli, to advertise for annual bids for highway services and materials. I make that motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Our next item is for our Lake Carmel Park District Advisory Board. They are asking us to appoint Lily Moynihan to their board. We actually had a chance to interview her right before this meeting, and I think we are all in agreement that she is an excellent choice for the board.
Agreed.
Everyone good with that?
Do it. I make a motion to pass a resolution appointing a member to the Lake Carmel Park District Advisory Board, whereas the Lake Carmel Park District Advisory Board, the LCDPAB, currently has a vacancy, and Lillian Moynihan has submitted an application and been interviewed to fill said vacancy, and whereas the LCPDAB has recommended the appointment of Lillian Moynihan to the board, and whereas the town board of the town of Kent wishes to appoint Lillian Moynihan to fill the vacancy on the LCPDAB. Now therefore be it resolved that Lillian Moynihan be appointed as a member of the Lake Carmel Park District Advisory Board for a term expiring on December 31st,
I'm not sure whose place.
to be determined later.
No, who is she replacing?
I have no. Who's she replacing?
Long story. We've had, okay, I mean, we've had others in the interim during the year that have taken their place.
Just give me a name, who resigned, so I can give you
Well, no one's resigned, we've had 8 for all year.
So now you're gonna have 9.
That's right. That's it.
Nicole, I don't even know.
Trying to think who left last.
Okay, so then, yes, there's a 5-year term, it sounds like you're creating a new position, so in 5 years, I guess.
We're not creating a new position. We went an entire year with an unfilled position. So there was somebody in that position who resigned from the board. We just don't know who
Is
it
it
is.
Joe Nemeth?
Oh.
Joe Nemeth.
Joe Nemeth.
Joe Nemeth
Joe Nemeth.
resigned. Jerry Jacobs resigned.
Jerry Jacobs we replaced, Joe Nemeth we did not.
That's
So
it.
if you want to do Joe Nemeth, and it's 2025.
Okay.
Okay.
So expires on December 31st, 2025. I make this motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Oh, yeah, Wally wants to come up and say something.
Good evening, Walter Retcher, Lake Carmel Park District Advisor Board, LCBDAB.
It's easier to say the
Sure.
words
It
than
is.
the letters.
It is. Just want to say thank you. We worked hard together on the process that it takes. I think we're in a much better position now going forward. And I'd just like to say it's a really good example, I think, of the work we've done together. Sometimes you come to the end of the year, you look back a little bit, and you recap. And you know, our board is just very pleased with the way things are run on the town board, the respect, mutual respect we have, getting things done. Just looking back over the past year or so, I guess we'll never know how much good, like extending the walking path was around the lake, in that, you know, could have avoided accidents and things like that could have happened. And you know, I keep thinking about all the good works that everybody does here, from our police chief to our highway to superintendent to everybody. There's a lot to be thankful for, so I just thought it'd be a good idea to think about that. Also, to remind everybody, we postponed our Holiday on the Lake event till Saturday. It's the only real Holiday on the Lake event in the area. We actually had some people confuse ours with that smaller one in Carmel last weekend. But my only wish list for Sam and I wrote him a letter about a new community center in our future. But seriously, also really happy to see. I went up to Syracuse to watch the Carmel game. And perfectly, you never think, oh, geez, you know, they lost by a big margin, but you'll never see a team and a community behind them, really, that came together more like what they did. And those kids were down 21-0, didn't give up. Coaches, you know, everybody really pushed them out. I was there with old-time Carmel people like myself, young people all around. And this team was from Syracuse. We had just as many, maybe a little more people, and we were louder. So, a lot to be proud of. So, thank you for being part of that.
Thank you, Willie.
Happy holiday.
Yep. And what time is the event on Saturday? 5 p.m. Thank you.
Santa, by the way, is looking for a B&B, so we're gonna have to.
All right, our next item is for the police department. I invite our police chief, Kevin Owens, up to discuss. I think one of them we're tabling, one of the items.
Yeah, the MOA will
Okay, the
table
MOA
the
we're
next
gonna
one.
table for the next meeting.
And then I'm just looking for permission to order 2 new cars for next year. The last ones we ordered last year took several months to get. So we're just looking to order these now. Hopefully we'll have them in the first few months of 2024. So,
We've budgeted for them.
yes, they're
Just
budgeted.
don't-
They're coming out of next year's budget, not this year's budget. And hopefully we will have them
Next year.
next year. The last one that we ordered last year, this time, we just got at the beginning of November. So,
Really?
so hopefully these don't take that long. We're using a different company. Okay? Thank you.
Thank you. Someone want to read the?
Sure. Make a motion to adopt a resolution authorizing the purchase of 2 2023 Dodge Durango Police Pursuit SUVs. Whereas the town board of the town of Kent is in receipt of a request dated December 1st, 2023 from the Chief of Police, Kevin Owens, to purchase 2 2023 Dodge Durango Police Pursuit SUVs, the police vehicles, a copy of which request is annexed here to and incorporated herein by reference. And whereas the general municipal laws, Section 103, subset 16, exempts purchase contracts over $20,000 from competitive bidding when such equipment is purchased through contracts let by any county of the state of New York. And whereas the specifications annexed here to indicate the police vehicles are being purchased under a contract awarded by New York State. And whereas in accordance with the town's procurement policy and the general municipal law, the town board wishes to authorize the purchase of the police vehicles through contract awarded by New York State. Now therefore be it resolved that the town board of the town of Kent hereby authorizes and approves the purchase of two 2023 Dodge Durango Police Pursuit SUVs with a purchase price of $61,327.67 each from Joe Chaconi's Chrysler and Emergency Vehicle Specialists. And be it further resolved that the town board of the town of Kent hereby authorizes and directs the supervisor to execute any and all documents necessary to give effect to this resolution. I make that motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
How do you say that Chrysler dealership again?
Joe Ciccone,
Chiconi's?
I believe.
I wouldn't have gotten that one right, Jordan.
Yeah, it looks like Joe Ciccone.
Okay, our next item is for the NRI. Ann, do you want to explain this one? Do you want to?
You mean the NYSERDA benchmarking?
Yep. No, the discussion for funding for the publications for the
Oh, okay.
NRI.
Yeah, we've had a bit of a shortfall on funding to publish our natural resources inventory, which is pretty much finished. It's in the hands of the graphic designer, and it's looking fantastic. And again, this is a planning document that will be used in the future. The challenge we had is, we came up a bit short on the funding, and we've looked at a number of different options to try to come up with funds to cover it, and it's not eligible under any of the grant opportunities that we have. So what I'm proposing is that we allocate some ARPA funds for this, knowing that we had allocated $28,000 for a groundwater protection plan, which is now very likely going to be funded through CREST funding through Senator Harkin's office. So I'm proposing that we make a switch. It's only $13,500 for the NRI publication, as opposed to the $28,000 we were budgeting for the groundwater protection plan. So I move that we authorize that to be funded so the project can be completed.
You made a motion on that?
Yeah.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Graphic designer will be happy to know that the bill is being paid. And it looks fantastic, by the way.
Okay. Our next item is from the office, Putnam County Office for Senior Resources. I need to sign the contract for 2024 with them. So I'm just asking for approval tonight so I can sign the contract.
I make a motion to pass a resolution authorizing contract with Putnam County Office for Senior Resources, whereas the town of Kent has previously contracted with Putnam County Office of Senior Resources to provide outreach services to residents in the town of Kent, and whereas the town board wishes to renew its agreement with Putnam County Office of Senior Resources to continue to provide outreach services to residents in the town of Kent. Now therefore be it resolved, the town board of the town of Kent hereby authorizes and approves the payment of a cost not to exceed $2,500 to the Putnam County Office for Senior Resources to continue its outreach services to Kent residents. And be it further resolved that the town board of the town of Kent hereby authorizes the supervisor to execute any and all documents necessary to give effect to this resolution. I make this motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I make a motion to add an item to the agenda for benchmarking.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And you want to take?
Sure, be happy to talk about this. I keep bringing it up, and so this is a program through NYSERDA, the Energy Research, or I'm trying to remember what NYSERDA stands for, right? Research and Development Authority of New York State. And we've completed a number of high-impact actions with NYSERDA. If we complete one more, we qualify for $5,000 in funding for any kind of energy efficiency program we might want to develop. And the way we can do that is to engage in an energy benchmarking program. They actually provide a lot of technical support through Hudson Regional Council. Basically, the town needs to provide energy bills very much the way we did when we did the greenhouse gas inventories. Data on the different buildings in town goes into these models, and we calculate energy efficiency, and that provides a benchmark for future improvements in energy consumption. The initial resolution that I had on this put a lot of the burden on town employees, so I went back to Hudson Regional Council and said, you know, what's the bare minimum that has to be in this resolution? Because really, the task force, the Climate Smart Task Force, is going to have to do this work. And so I now have a somewhat wordy resolution that addresses that concern and meets NYSERDA's requirements. So I respectfully ask that the board approve this tonight to qualify us for the funding and also get us launched on this program. I also have another grant update that I'd like to talk about, but let me go ahead and read this, if you'll bear with me. I make a motion to adopt a resolution for the NYSERDA Energy Benchmarking Program. Whereas the Town Board of the Town of Kent wishes to analyze the energy uses of municipal buildings and facilities to determine means of saving energy and reducing costs, and whereas the Hudson Regional Council provides technical assistance for a NYSERDA energy benchmarking program for municipalities, the program, and whereas the Kent Climate Smart Task Force, the task force, wishes to assist in the town's participation in the program and complete the following actions in connection with same. 1, create an Energy Star Portfolio Manager account. 2, gather basic information required by Portfolio Manager and set up property profiles for municipal buildings and facilities. 3, obtain monthly whole building energy use data for all fuel types, including but not limited to electricity, natural gas, fuel oil, chilled water, steam, and diesel. 4, enter property uses and details into profiles. 5, enter energy use data for all fuel types. 6, generate and review each building's report in Portfolio Manager. 7, submit the reports to the municipality through Portfolio Manager. And 8, make available to the public on the internet annual summary statistics for each covered property, including energy use intensity, EUI, annual greenhouse gas emissions, and an energy performance score where available, and other descriptive information as required by Portfolio Manager. Items 1 through and including 8 shall hereinafter be referred to collectively as the action items. And whereas the town board wishes to participate in the program and provide the necessary information to the task force to complete the action items above in connection with the program, now therefore be it resolved that the town board of the town of Kent hereby agrees to participate in the program and agrees to provide the necessary documentation to the task force to complete the action items. And be it further resolved that the town board of the town of Kent hereby authorizes the Climate Smart Task Force to complete the action items. I make that motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Ann has another grant she
Oh,
wanted to
I'm
talk
sorry.
about.
Oh, I just wanted to mention, we successfully submitted the pre-application for the DOT TAP grant program. Superintendent Othmer and Supervisor McGlasson had sat in on a meeting that we had to participate in, and we were able to develop a preliminary plan with help from transportation engineer at Barton and LaJudas. What we're looking at is starting at the, I guess it's the southern border of the town, down near ShopRite, possibly going all the way to ShopRite, which would involve Carmel in this project. And then there would be, for most of the region on the way up, plowable sidewalks that would be street level for cycling and walking. In some places, there would be more traditional raised sidewalks. And it looks as though with the funding envelope that we have, which is $5 million with a 25% match by the town, we could go either as far as the old town hall or possibly the new town hall. The final application has to go in January, and in the meantime, there will be a lot of work going on to refine the estimates and determine the exact scope of the project. But we're thinking at least making it up to Old Town Hall, and ideally this far. We started by talking about whether we could go all the way up to where the elementary schools are. That would end up costing way more than we could support. But we also can think in terms of this being a first phase, and further projects could be applied for in the future. And one of the things I was advised is that it would be very helpful if we had letters of support from pretty much every business owner, whoever we can get along that corridor, other residents in the town and so forth. So I will be coming back in the future, in the next few months, to try to get a letter writing campaign going in support of this application. Thanks.
I'm up. I ask the board to approve the following vouchers for December 5th, 2023 that are over the threshold. Allegiance Trucks, $9,265.88 for truck parts. Amthor Welding Service, $3,714.78 for plow parts. $27,644.30 for 2 plows. Barton and LaJudas DPC, $4,000 for Lake Carmel Community Center study, $3,300 for Lake Carmel Community Center study, $6,975 for Lake Carmel Community Center study. Calculated fire protection, $8,430. Antifreeze replacement library. Is that for the inside of the library? Oh, for their heating system? DNR Laboratories, $9,019 for cable cast upgrade. Done Right Construction, $42,076 for the final payment for the Ryan Park driveway, $2,000 for the final payment of the Lake Carmel walking path. Edmonds Government Tech, $4,630.50 for tax collection maintenance. General Code, $3,073 for code supplements. Global Montello Group, $4,390.11 for gas, $6,220.01 for diesel, $3,355.96 for diesel. Hogan Rossi and Liguori, $5,416.63 for legal services in December. Kevin Irwin, $5,877 for a prosecutor for August through October. Jim Liebler, Inc., $3,800 for balance window install. Medicare reimbursements, $31,429.40 for fourth quarter reimbursements. Morton Salt, $15,361.49 for road salt. Nycomco, $2,972 for two-way radios for the police in November. Robert Green Auto and Truck, $62,873.41 for police Dodge Durango. $4,417.58 for truck parts. Laura Roberts, $2,835 for the prosecutor for November. Romer Wallens Gold and Minol, $2,159 for Teamster negotiations. State Comptroller, $45,372 for Justice Court fines and fees for October. Town of Kent Municipal Repairs, $2,203.23 for chargebacks to the police in June. Wind Waste, $7,564.81 for Lake Carmel garbage, $10,773.76 for Lake Carmel garbage, $3,642.40 for Lake Carmel garbage, $7,361.58 for Lake Carmel garbage. I ask the board to approve as read.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Announcements. I have a bunch of announcements for recreation. You can go up on the website and sign up for kickboxing and volleyball, bowling, basketball, ice skating, and karate. We have all open on our website right now, so go and register. But most importantly right now, we are running our Operation Christmas Morning. We are partnering with Toys for Tots. We have a box in the lobby, so if anyone would like to donate toys, please come and donate before December 20th. So we can make everyone's Christmas happy. That's all I have. Ann, do you want to do library?
Sure. There's just a multitude of options here. Lots and lots of craft workshops for all ages, so if you want to get the kids and or the adults involved in making gifts for people for the holidays, it's a great opportunity. The bookseller will be having their holiday sale December 9th from 10 to 2. On Monday, December 11th at 2 o'clock, there will be an emergency preparedness workshop with National Guard service members, how to be prepared for various kinds of disasters. They're also doing a toy drop-off at the library with the Marine Corps Reserve, Toys for Tots. And I think that's basically it. The puppeteer players, 4-H puppeteer players, are doing a performance on Saturday the 9th at 10:30. So I encourage you to check the website. There are just more things here than I have time to talk about. Thanks.
I have a short announcement. It's not town board business, but we, the Carmel football team, just want to thank the community. The send-off you guys gave us was fantastic. And it was multiple agencies, first responders, fire departments, highway, police departments. Wasn't the ending we wanted, but we had one heck of a season. So thank you very much to the community.
Hey, go Rams. Almost set.
Me
Thanks.
too.
Okay. public comment?
Henry Boyd, Chamber of Commerce. I'd like to clarify something. I know my wife, Julie Boyd, put a letter in the paper, a couple of weeks ago, a month ago. And as the Chamber of Commerce, we seem to be the collector of information from people. Everybody, the letter she wrote was really not particular from our hearts, but it was from the people of our chamber and people. Everybody seems to show up at my house to tell me all their problems. Sean knows how many people you got to stand in line at my house sometimes. But she wrote the problems and the questions that people had, and I think we've heard a few people. I know Rich is here. Rich, I'm really sorry that you were I think you took the brunt of the problem, and you responded right away to the questions that were there, and you gave everybody their answer that people have been talking about. I haven't heard another word from anybody about the bridge or anything else that you talked about last session. So we're really sorry if we got you going, just because you're the best highwayman. You're the best supervisor of the highway people here that we've ever had. Our roads are better than they've ever been. So thank you for that. And as far as everybody else here, well, already tonight you solved two of the problems that were on Julie's questions, but this isn't from us. This is from the people. And I'd like just to be the advocate for the people to a little bit. But we really didn't mean to shove this down your throats. But if you don't know what people are thinking, then you don't know how you should vote. So thank you for accepting my apologies for all this. But these are still things you gotta pay attention to them and work out the rest of whatever she said in her paper. So the other thing, one of the biggest things that we have right now coming is about the recycling center and running a road through it. There's a lot of people that are really upset over that, and you're going to have to do something about that pretty soon. I mean, they're talking about a 50-foot road going through. It's a right-of-way is a 50-foot road through 1 acre. That's 25% of the land that they have. And there was an outfit called Plan Kent that put the bridge in there. They put the buildings in there back in the 90s, and they're thinking about coming back out and starting to protest with everybody. So just please think of that when you're starting to make decisions on putting roads through there. Thank you. Well, anyway, I'd love to help you with the sidewalks. The Chamber of Commerce about 15 years ago got funding to put sidewalks in Lake Carmel. And through politics and whatever, Carmel got the money. And so Carmel got some really nice sidewalks. And the only person that I heard that protested it for Town of Kent was Mrs. Baker, Mama Baker. I mean, she was a Town of Kent advocate. She called me up and said, "Who's going to shovel the sidewalks?" And that was I don't know who's going to shovel them, but they really should have them all the way up to the Kent School, if we can afford it someday. And as far as notices go, Arts on the Lake this weekend is having a train show. I've seen the trains. You can't believe the setup they have. And they're having a bake shop or cookie show or whatever they're selling in there. I don't know. I didn't even read that. All I know is they got some goodies to sell people. Bring the kids and let them see the trains.
What's the times on that?
All I know is the 9th and the 10th.
Saturday, Sunday.
I wasn't paying much attention, and I walked out my office this morning. So what is it?
Cookie sales on Saturday. I don't know if it's on both.
Cookie sales on Saturday? Okay, good. Good, I'll be there. Okay, thank you.
The trains are on
Every
both days.
weekend.
Yeah.
Until January 14th.
Yeah.
So it's not just.
I liked Henry's calling Richie the highwayman. It reminded me of like Chris Christopherson and Willie Nelson up there on stage. You'd fit right in up there, Richie.
So the train show is Saturdays 1 to 5, and Sundays 1, also 1 to 5.
But they're gonna be open at, I think, every weekend for Christmas with the trains.
Through January 14th, apparently. By the way, about the sidewalks, I'm a cyclist. You can't ride a bike on a sidewalk. But if you do it street level, it's plowable, bikeable, and walkable. And so that will be a lot of it. There are going to be 2 sidewalk profiles in the proposal. In places, there will be the traditional raised sidewalks with the curb, but not everywhere.
But yeah, you know, I can't ride a bicycle.
You can walk the sidewalk, though.
I can tell you one thing, the building department's not going to shovel them.
Only to the Airbnbs.
Yeah. Bill Walters up here as a private citizen and a member of the Lake Carmel Fire Department. Just as a reminder, the candy cane runs are scheduled for this Saturday, starting at 9, and I believe they're running to 4, and with a rain date of the 16th. So if you got kids, listen for the fire trucks coming around. I don't know how many trucks they're going to have. There's not a lot of us doing it anymore, but we're going to try to give it our best effort to get out there and get the kids.
So you have multiple trucks that do this?
In the past, we've had...
That's what's confusing me. I could be out in my lawn going, wait a minute, I hear it over there and over there at the same time. I thought there was one truck going around
No,
town. I couldn't
no,
figure out why
that-
they were hearing them in every
I know
direction.
when I was in charge of it, we had, I think, 6 trucks out at one time.
Wow, that's fantastic.
That's not the case anymore. We just don't have the trucks, the manpower, and Santa. I've only got one Santa, you know, so.
Yeah, that's tricky.
He's very busy this time of year.
All right, so, thank you.
Thank you.
Sue Kotzer, I like what Bill said. As a private citizen, I was looking at the county agenda for tonight, and I came across some things with the Physical Services Committee, and then I went into the backup material, and the Kent Highway Superintendent requested from the county to convey some parcels of land so that he can extend from his area out onto 311. So I'm just curious, how large is that road going to be? And is the cost of making the road in the budget? And also, will special permits be needed to come out onto, I think it's a county road, 311? Just some questions.
State road.
Is it a state road, 311? Thank you. So, just curious what exactly the progress of that will be and how long it will take?
Well, I think it'd be great if Richie came
Well,
up, our
I
highway
don't need to know right
superintendent.
now.
Well, if you're asking, he's here, so he should
All
answer
right,
them.
thanks, Rich.
I just came from the meeting in the county, and they approved the conveyance of the land for $1. It's going to go to you guys in 2 weeks for approval to accept it. It's a little less than 9 acres. We'll build the road ourselves. We don't need money. We have the equipment. We'll do it. I got the millings for the road because that's all it will be inside the land for, for our road base. And the only place we'll have to pave is up where it connects with 311. You need a permit for that with the DOT. I'm going to work with Inside Engineering with them to design a road because it takes about 7 or 8 months to get the approvals. Actually, I spoke to John Watson today, because Ann's working on a grant to get the super electric chargers off the interstate, and we'll have a space where it intersects with 311. And, because, sooner or later, electric cars are coming, either slow or fast, but it's kind of good to plan for the future, so John Watson's going to work that in. We are ordered off the landfill. The town was never supposed to dump anything there after 1986, so I've been working very closely with the DEC, and we need a place to bring, we're a whole town of forest and streams and trees, and the ash borer beetle has killed us with dead ash trees everywhere, and it seems like I can't get ahead with dead trees. They're all over the place, and we need a place, we need an organic waste facility where we can process it. I'll still be able to store a certain amount of wood chips at the landfill as long as I rotate the windrows, they're called, and we turn it into topsoil. Well, we need a place. The DEC also, years ago, when you did road projects and they, ripped up the old blacktop to put pipes in, they used to just rebury everything in the shoulders. You can't do that anymore. So we need a place to store the blacktop, until I can bring it to either Lawton Adams or Donnie Flood's place to get it reprocessed. So we need the space for the town. We just need a storage facility, and I know this land was for sale several times for, $100,000, whatever, and we got it for $1. So we need it, and hopefully after 2 weeks it'll be ours. Any other questions, Sue?
Doesn't it also resolve some septic issues you have down there?
What's that?
Doesn't it resolve some septic or issues or something where you're,
Our septic systems, I can say it now, they were on private property. It was kind of like the Twilight Zone. Our parking lot where the guys parked the cars, we didn't own. We only owned like 1/3 of it, and
that's part of this piece, though?
this is part of that piece.
That's good.
There are some wetlands on it. I'm going to have them flagged. But we're not going to be putting any structural buildings out there. I mean, my best case scenario, I would like to get some of those Quonset hut buildings from the military, for practically free, just so I can store equipment, cement mixers and that kind of stuff inside, so they're not sitting out in the rain all the time. And basically, I'd like to build a big, I call them mafia block wall, where we have bins for firewood, wood chips, blacktop. We can separate our stuff. And Jamie and I have been speaking about in the future, maybe we can get firewood to some of the residents. The wood chips, if you do it one step further with the process, you can turn them into mulch. And I know East Fishkill, they have a big mulch pile for the residents to get. So there's a lot of possibilities. And, this is really for the future. This is, 50 years from now, they'll be glad we did this.
Quick question about the recycling center. Would you have the as-built for the culvert that goes into there? Would that be at the highway department?
I don't have it.
Okay, I don't know who has it.
It's just, it's culvert pipes though, right?
No, it's like concrete, but I wanted to see if there was an as-built spec actually on it.
Are there abutments?
No, it's flared, so not really an abutment.
They're just regular culvert pipes.
Concrete.
Concrete culvert?
Concrete culverts.
Square, right?
It's oval, actually.
Oval?
It's the worst
Who did the
possible
engineering
thing.
on that? Sue? Who did the engineering on the recycling center? He's dead, Gary Trash, right?
Yeah, but there's still old
Would the planning board have anything there?
Sean asked a question.
You'd want to know for weight limits is what you're saying.
Correct, that's the point I'm getting at,
Yeah.
yes. Yeah,
You're going to want to know what it's rated at for weight limits.
yeah, yeah.
Oh, they did the intersection by the school too. I would check the planning board and see what they have in there.
Okay.
It's actually before your time too, it was 1999, right? Yeah, I know I don't have anything in the office on that.
Somebody just said you may, so I figured I'd ask.
Well, if a culvert, once it's built right, you can drive anything over it, especially just a plastic culvert, we have concrete trucks going over just regular stuff we build. But I understand what you're saying.
Yep.
All
right, thank you.
I'm good.
Thanks, Rich.
Thank you.
Anybody else? I make a motion to go to executive discussion to discuss a personnel issue.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Have a good night, everyone.